Hey everyone, and welcome to Iron Vlog number 139. This is my journey to become Iron Man. And right now, I'm going to show you guys the forearm right here. So this is the forearm piece right here. This is the arm. And when I talk about this is anatomical terms. And this is technically your arm up here, and this is technically your forearm down here. So this is what we're looking at right now. The first joint is right here, and there's three of them going through here. You guys who have seen all the videos kind of know what I'm talking about here a little bit. There's the two outer joints for strength, and that's where the exo muscles are running through, and then there's this one joint over here to give it another anchor point, another rotational point. But the idea is that these two joints in here are what allow the exo muscles to go through. So if we look over here on the full body, so this is the suit on the full body right here. If we look here, there's these anchors up in here, and so you see these things with the bolts on them right here, and then the holes. Those are exomuscle anchors. So exomuscles are my artificial muscles that are hydraulically driven that produce 5 tons of force. That runs through this cavity in here. So these come up from up here in part of the shoulder. So they come from the shoulder, and then they come down through here, and then all through here, and then anchor into these spots over here. So, well, actually, that's not true exactly. So there's three exomuscle anchors in here. So these two are actually coming from this one's coming from the pectoralis major, and this one is going to the latissimus dorsi. So those, if we go back to the full body, come. The latissimus dorsi, this has skin on the outside, so you can't see it, but there's one down here in the pelvis, and that comes all the way up, and then they come up and over. Let me go back to the arm. I'm flipping between two files here, so bear with me. But they come back, and they come over these things. So these are pivots for the exomuscles here, and those come up and over there. So that's the one for the pec, and then that's the one for the lat. So the one from the pec comes from over here in the chest, and then the one from the lat is coming down from the pelvis, and it goes over the lumbar, and then over this, and then down. And those two insert into here and here. And the reason for doing that is the predominant motion these things will be generating is on these two pivots, and that'll be to pull your arm forward and backwards. But they also anchor in down here, and they will also internally and externally rotate your arm, which is sort of mostly how your body works. Except for the external rotation, that actually is done by your rotator cuff, but it matches biology fairly closely. It's accurate in the sense that the muscles act on multiple joints. Most of your muscles act on multiple joints in your body. So those come through and anchor into here. And then back to the ones I was talking about earlier, which are these ones. So we're back on the full body one here, and those are those muscles, these muscles up in here. So two of these are for your bicep, and one of these is for your tricep. And the tricep one is going to anchor in right here, and that is just going to straighten your arm. There won't be really a dual action except for a little bit up in here. There'll be a little bit of action in there. But then the bicep ones, they come and they anchor all the way down in here, which is over this joint, and those are going to internally and externally, or pronate and supinate your hand, like that. So now if we actually look at the joints and we drive them here, you'll see what I'm talking about. So this is just the normal straightening, so that would be your tricep firing to straighten your arm, and then if both of the, or either, I guess, of the biceps fire, they'll pull your arm up like this, and you can see there's actually no interference with this, which took a while to get right, but there's no interference. So you can come all the way up to a solid 90 degrees, as you can see, read right there. This comes up to 90 degrees and moves up there, and that is pretty cool. So we'll go back here, and then this joint right here. So this is a hinge joint right here. This is a ring joint right here, and this spins this way, and it's being weird because it's not moving the side I want to see, but this would be rotating, pronating, and supinating your hand like that. It just happens to be moving up above. Let me see if I can fix that. There, so now you can see it's moving back and forth like that. It's kind of weird because it's moving opposite direction I'm moving it. But there you can see you have the internal and external rotation of your hand, or pronation and supination of the hand, like that. And then the last part, which I think is kind of cool, is there's going to be, if you follow this, there's an internal and external, a deep and superficial exoskeletons. There's two exoskeletons. And so here you can see there's two different parts. And the way I get into this is I get into just the deep part first, and then this part, or yeah, just the deep exoskeleton, and then the superficial exoskeleton, which is this piece right here and this piece right here, get bolted on top like that. And then there's going to be some parts that come off of this and bolt in for how it bolts into the torso. So it bolts into the torso up here, the superficial part does. And the deep part will all be held together. So the deep part will essentially all be one part, and I'll get into the deep part, and then the superficial part will be bolted onto me. And let me show you how this bolts together. And then the deep and superficial thing goes away everywhere below like this line right here. So in here you can see there's a gap, and then there's a spot for a bolt to go through right there, and then there's two spots in the back right here. And if we look, okay, I'm going to turn the body off, so now we're just looking at the thing. If you look inside of here, now that we can see inside, you see this piece right here attaches down here. So this is a solid piece, so this is attached here. This will all be welded together and become one unit. And then this piece comes on and this piece comes on, and you can see here this squiggly line, the bolts go through there, and so it puts three pieces together. It puts on this top piece right here, this bottom piece right here, and then they bolt in, they all attach to the lower part of the forearm right here. So with that bolt, that bolt, that bolt, and that bolt right there. So 4 bolts to put that on, and then that all bolts on to this. And then you can see here that this right here, the forearm, so let me turn some components off so you can see what I'm talking about. So so this is just the forearm. The forearm, I'm not done with the forearm, by the way. I'm getting there. I'm not quite there, so I have to put skin on it. And then there's going to be a part that bolts onto this side too, which I haven't quite figured out yet. But you can see how if I put the body back on, you can see my hand here. So the inside of my forearm, there's going to be a part that bolts into that and kind of covers this all up. I haven't figured that part out yet. And then obviously there's just struts right now. There isn't any skin on it yet. But onto that is going to bolt. So this part will be attached. There'll be a joint in there, but it'll be attached permanently via. So these struts right here attach that to the rest of the deep suit going up like this, and then the superficial suit is then going to be bolted on like that. And so with the rest of the arm on, this would all be attached, and this would all be attached, and then it would be bolted in to this. And then there's also bolts for the upper arm. So if we turn off the forearm like that, and this is just the upper arm. So again, there's my body in it for reference. So in here, there's 2 bolts there and 2 bolts there, and then 2 more bolts right there. And that's how the superficial part of the arm, the upper arm, gets attached to. And then again, this part of the joint, if we go back to the full body, is deep inside there, so it's underneath there, and that's permanently attached. And then all of this, and this is where I was talking about there's 2 bolts for it to go, so this would then be attached into here, so these would be permanently put together. They'd be bolted together, but those bolts would be designed not to come off. They would just be there to permanently hold together. But then this bolt right here, and there'd be a bolt over here, which is, there's not actually a bolt, but there'd be another bolt over here and a bolt right there, and that would have been bolted into this. So the idea on how you're going to put this thing on is that the deep exoskeleton is going to be completely put together, and it's going to be held on a stand. And I'm going to get into the stand. I'm going to put my hands and my feet into the thing. So there'll be a glove coming off all the way over here. So this would be finished all the way out, and there'd be a glove. And so you'd reach into the hands, and then you put your feet into it, and then the front and back part of the, well, actually first, the deep part of the front of the suit will get put on, and then both the superficial and deep part of the torso. So I'm talking about the torso now. So the torso, the deep part would come on, and then the superficial, the front and the back part would come on. And then you'd put in the arms. You put on the deep or the superficial, both sides of the superficial, boom, boom, and then these 2 bolts would go in there, and that's how you would attach the arm to the torso. And then after that, you'd do the legs, and the legs would be done in a similar way. And that's the rough idea of how this is going together. And so there's bolts in here, and then there also would be bolts to hold in the exomuscles because there's so much force on those. So you'd have those bolts I showed you guys there that would hold the thing together, and then there's going to be more bolts too for each exomuscle. something like that, to hold the exomuscles, to give those extra rigidity and tension there, because there's so much force on them. So a lot of bolts to put this thing on, but it's going to be really fucking cool to get into it. It's going to be very Iron Man-esque. Yeah, guys, the forearm's coming along. You can tell it's almost there. You get to see it without the skin on, which actually kind of shows how it looks. But if you notice the upper part of the arm, and then the upper part of the forearm. So the upper arm and then the upper part of the forearm, which I've actually put the skin on now, you can see it's looking really covered. It's very well covered now with the skin on there. I'm starting to really figure out how to make it a more complete exoskeleton. So like my earliest attempts were like just trying to run the smallest amount of metal just to try to get the joints there. Like, how am I just going to get to the joints? Now what I'm learning how to do is to make it more bulky and like not bulky, but actually have mass there so it could actually support a load. So by forcing me to put the exomuscles in there, I'm actually having to figure out how to make it more completely structural, if that makes sense. So it's actually covering me in metal now, which is what I want, and it's starting to look like something that could actually be put on and be rugged and durable, which is what we want. So that's actually really good news. I know it's taking me it's taking me longer than I wanted it to for this stuff, but I am getting there, and which is I'm just really happy with the way it is completely covering me, and it's obviously going to improve from there. But this is good progress, because Iron Man should be kind of impenetrable, right? Obviously, it's made of aluminum. If anyone shoots me in this, I'm going to die because it's fucking aluminum. But it's going to have that really neat, awesome look, which is what I want. So it's coming together, and I think it's really cool. Tell me what you guys think down below. If this one, especially if you watch the old stuff, if you think this is starting to look more like an actual Iron Man suit and more covered and all that really cool shit. I think it is. Anyways, you guys are awesome. I saw my video from yesterday. I have 100 subscribers now, which is super awesome, and I'm always looking for more. So hit the subscribe button if you're watching this for the first time. You guys are great. I love you guys. Come back tomorrow. We should have the forearm done, and start on the hand. The hand is going to be tricky. There's a lot of parts in the hand, and I haven't really figured out how exomuscles are going in the hand yet. I need to add that to the forearm too, so I'm not done. I'll probably finish the forearm tomorrow. I may not get quite started on the hand. The hand is going to be a challenging part, and then the leg should go pretty fast. That's what I'm expecting, what I've been saying. You've been following this for a while. The hand is the next very difficult thing to figure out, and then I'm sort of there. I have to really figure out some stuff with the torso that I just didn't really like. The torso is proving very difficult too. That shoulder girdle, man. That shoulder girdle is very difficult to figure out. Anyways, you guys are great. I love you guys. Alright, so
35 pulse, right?
3, 2, 1, go. Oh, you got my spot. Gotta not jump.
How many you had? I think I just finished 35. I feel like I was with you though.
34.
God, how are you as strong as me? How many are you at?
70.
Me too! Look at this shit.
I can barely do him right now.
Did you go up on your knees? What?
Did you go up on your knees?
Only for one.
Jesus.
How much longer? You 20, no, 30 more?
Yeah.
So that's the proper form? Or is your front the proper form? Huh?
Is this feeling better?